Essex took the extra half hour on the third day of their LV County Championship match with Glamorgan in Swansea, but not even Monty Panesar, who took his tally of wickets in this game to 10, could finish off the home team. The visitors began the third day on 131 for 5 in their second innings for a handsome lead of 256, and the partnership which had really taken this game away from Glamorgan between Ryan Tender-Scarter and Greg Smith continued. They'd already put on 49 runs at the start of play, and with Tender-Scarter increasing the tempo of his innings with shots like these that both went for 6, Essex were looking very good indeed. It was perhaps surprising that Dean Koska didn't pick up a single wicket in this innings, and he was certainly punished when he dropped in too short. 113 had been added by these two for the 6th wicket, but the loss of Smith, who on 58 edged Jim Allenby behind, led to a collapse. Graham Napier, suffering with a calf strain and batting with a runner, came and went quickly, James Harris bowling him off the inside edge. Sajid Mahmood was then run out by Andrew Salter when the two batsmen ran into each other mid-pitch, something probably to be described as a schoolboy error. It's certainly something you don't see very often at the professional level. It also hurt Tender-Scarter's shoulder and he had to retire. Harris then hung on to a push from Panesar as a 3rd wicket fell in as many overs from the Mumbles Road end of the ground, before Tender-Scarter, back on after a very brief break, was left high and dry on a 3-hour 63 when Matt Salisbury gave Allenby a return catch for his 8th wicket of the game. Essex had lost 5 wickets for 27 runs in 9 overs, but they soon had Jacques Rudolph back in the hutch when Panesar, opening the bowling, disturbed the left-hander's stumps in his 3rd over. Glamorgan had been set 348 runs to win, and shortly after lunch they found themselves on 24 for 2 when Will Bragg gave Panesar his 7th success of the game with a top-edge sweep to Ravi Bopara. Essex may have been dreaming of a 3-day victory, one which would put them right back in contention for promotion, but not for the first time. They were held up by Murray Goodwin, now into his 42nd year but still loving scoring runs aplenty. He's approaching the magnificent milestone of 24,000 runs in his first-class career, and he dealt with this Essex attack led by Panesar and Jesse Ryder, with Matt Salisbury given a small spell, very well. If Glamorgan were going to get anywhere close to their target, then they needed some good partnerships, and one was supplied for the 3rd wicket, with Chris Cook also batting intelligently. He too made the most of some short deliveries from Salisbury, whose 3-over spell cost 22 runs, just to relieve some of the pressure, with Napier and Tender-Scarter unable to bowl. Injuries to Essex's attack has been the story of their season. Panesar was given a rare break, and his replacement Smith was hit down the ground by Goodwin, as this pair carried the total to 111. Goodwin was then out in the 40s for the 2nd time in the match. Panesar back on to win an LBW decision as the batsman departed for 47. By tea, Cook had made it to a 50 off 91 balls, but he was out in the 1st over after the break, Panesar striking yet again as the batsman edged to Ryder. That left Glamorgan on 120 for 4, 228 runs away from their target, and a 3-day finish looked to be on its way when 3 wickets fell for 1 run after Allenby turned Tom Westley to leg slip. Panesar followed that up with his 2nd fifer of this match, Mark Wallace LBW for 8, and Glamorgan had slumped to 145 for 7 in the next over as Westley and leg slip combined again to remove Andrew Salter for a duck. Essex were nearly home and hosed and would have been dreaming of a day off for their journey home from the Mumbles, but as it turned out they were to have another night by the South Wales coast, thanks mostly to Graham Wagg, who produced one of his best innings of the summer to frustrate the visiting attack. Panesar would have been hopeful of adding yet more wickets to his tally in this match, but Wagg went after him when he could, this shot for example going all the way for 6. Harris stuck with Wagg for an hour, mixing a solid defence with just the occasional flourish, as this pair just about ensured that the match would head into a final day, even if Essex remained firm favourites to win for the 4th time this season and to close the gap on those ahead of them in the table. This partnership realised 76 runs in 20 overs and was only ended when Harris on 22 was trapped in front by Smith with 45 minutes of the day still to go once James Foster claimed the extra half hour. 14 overs were delivered in that time, but Koska held firm, making just a single off 41 balls, while Wag went to his fourth 50 of the campaign off 74 before going into blocking mode with his partner at the end of what was a fascinating day's play. So into the last day we do go, with Glamorgan on 237 for 8, still needing 111 more runs for an unlikely victory, although Wag is still there on 64. For Essex, it's just 2 more wickets to keep their 4-day season very much alive.